All right, welcome, everyone. This is Sharon for a Conscious Sharon Living Well. I guess you could say that one is a little different for the Conscious Sharon brand. And so today we have Asha, and she's a very special person and very special to me as well. And we're going to talk about chakras. And before we begin, Asha, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. I am a licensed mental health clinician, holistic wellness practitioner. And I say that because that carries so many titles within that name. So with having a background in energy work, that's where a lot of my focus is, and metaphysics of mental health, yoga practitioner. I like to integrate my approaches to healing and even integrating sensual arts education on helping women understand feminine awareness and the sensual beings that they are. And within that, so that's kind of a little bit with where I am and my approaches of integrating holistic approaches with Western approaches and Eastern approaches. So my modalities will incorporate modern approaches, but energy work, plant medicine, all of those are modalities that I like to incorporate in the work that I do.
Yeah, and most definitely when I met you, it was under the arena of the energy work. It was pretty much several years ago. And actually, when I first...
Has it been that long?
Huh?
I said, has it been that long?
Yes, and actually it was at the first, what was it? The Black Mental Health Symposium, and you were speaking. Right. And one thing that really caught my eye is that you were talking about a family member, they were going through some things and just, you didn't know what to do. And you used this energy work. And pretty much at that point in my life, I was thinking about, I'm looking for different ways of how to help people. And then I think maybe a year went by or so. And then I remember you and I looked up your information. I said, I think I got it somewhere. And so I looked at your information and contact you. And then you had the training. And I tell you, when I attended the Reiki training, literally it changed my life. In the sense that it made me come into contact of who I really am as a person. Because, life and we do things, but it's not, I didn't even know that it wasn't even connected. And you made me realize my gifts and things like that. But when you were talking about the chakras, and that was, to be honest, the first time I ever heard of the chakras. I'm like, what is this? One thing I knew is that, okay, whatever we're saying about mental health, this is missing,
Exactly.
This is missing.
Exactly. Yes. It's the mystery.
Yeah, exactly. So tell us, like, first in general, what is chakras? What is that? Or what are chakras? Okay.
In simple terms, to help people understand what it is, because different people, depending on their backgrounds, have a different understanding. But the way I break it down to a lot of my clients is let's look at, we are no different like our computer systems. Each computer has a computer hard drive. Our chakras are basically like our hard drives that align our body and aligns with our subtle energy centers. So within that, these chakras, due to our five senses, sight, touch, smell, we take in information. This is how we navigate in the world through our senses. The chakras, as we take this information in, processes this information. Each chakra is responsible for certain purposes in how you live and how you process information, and they develop through different times of your life. So as we take in information, just like with a computer system, if it's flowing and the system is clean, you're going to get that output real quick. If it's too much in there, the hard drives get sluggish. It may process, but you're sitting there waiting. You can't skip from screen to screen because it's freezing up on you. So it's kind of like how energetically many of us are walking around with blocked or dirty auras. I say that do not understand, because none of us were really taught. We always talk, brush your teeth, keep your teeth clean, get in the tub, take a shower to wash your body. But how many have ever said your aura is dirty? We're not taught that. So you think about all these years of stuff collecting in our energetic fields, our chakras may be operating at a level based upon past trauma or past emotions that impact how you present yourself in the world. So understanding how your chakras work really helps you to understand how you operate, and it can help you see the world totally different. It changes your perception and sometimes the reality of accountability, because once you see, oh, I've been processing things because this happened then, so it's really not their fault. It was me. It's kind of like you got punched. Like, wait a minute, all this time it's been me. Yeah, when we realize we're still stuck in a certain developmental stage that hadn't been healed, or that's what caused us to have these ongoing unfulfilling relationships, all because of one chakra center that is not operating at the optimum level, which throws you out of alignment. So like you said, that's the easiest way. And what I've explained, like, to me, it made so much more sense than a lot of the theories that I learned in grad school on helping people get to the core. And that's the thing with the chakras. And even as a mental health clinician, because I was burnt out, I stopped doing therapy for a while. When you came to that conference, only reason I did is because LaTanya Summers asked me, because I was coming to speak about domestic violence and sexual assault. I felt that's what she wanted to hear. She was like, no, you're in the holistic. They need to hear what you have to say. And that is where I really started. After that, went back into practice. That's when I decided to go into private practice. And I said, if I do, this is how the healing is going to be done if I go back into private practice. And that's really what started the journey, the self-healing. And then as well as feeling that the modalities I learned in my profession, they really weren't getting to the core of things. So it's a complete journey now. And it's, I can say, all because the chakras, and I see a difference in the clients, like you said, from your shift on awareness of taking accountability. That's all. It just helps you clear off the unnecessary stuff, to take accountability, to live in your true authentic self without all the programming, without what your mom said, what your dad, the pastor, the teacher, the doctor. What do you say? You're the vessel.
Exactly. Because like I tell you, I mean, when I first heard about it, it just left an impression on me. Because like I said, I never heard about it before.
Neither did I. Look, I don't know. I'm coming from the Presbyterian church. Look, that's a whole nother thing. Like, what is this? I don't know about chakras. Is this, weird? But after I read, I was like, oh, this is what's missing. This is about us, ourselves, our being, how we interact in the world. So I see why some things want to be kept taboo.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
It has too much power to it. The knowledge brings power.
It sure does, because it really does. It really just really helps people heal. And one thing that I tell people now, whether you're a professional in the mental health field or just individuals, is that it is really important for us to really look at things from different perspectives and to be open, because there's so much more. Because I didn't even realize, not being closed, like on a conscious level, I just didn't know I was closed in what I was learning.
Right.
I knew enough to know I didn't learn everything that needed to be, but then at the same time, didn't know what was out there. And so, like I said, I left the Reiki workshop just a new person. It's like, I usually tell people, after I was attuned, I felt like it was this crisp cream sensation that I had a few days later for several days. It's almost like a high, know, and you just want to stay on that. And it's like, oh my gosh, it just feels so good. And to be honest, it was kind of scary too, because of the fact that if you never experienced it before, because it was almost like no worries.
Right.
No, it was just clean and clear. That's the only way I could describe it.
That's always tell people, when it works after a session in the healing, when things occur that normally would trigger you, and you're like, oh, okay. Okay. And people are like, that's all you have to say. And then you're like, wow, in the past, I would have handled it this way, or I would have said that way. But it's the most amazing thing. It gives you such a sense of peace. I mean, for understanding, that's how the journey, I read about the chakras, and I was really at a dark place in time when I first found out about the chakras. So I was really in a real self-reflective when it came across, and I'm like, this is really interesting on this is how we operate. Why is this not being taught in our practice? And of course, that's when it went from, okay, well, if your chakras are blocked, how do you unblock them? And that's when I started reading about Reiki. And at first I'm like, I don't know what this is. I'm not sure if this is what I want to do. And in my journey of still, I always say Reiki and energy work finds you. You don't really go searching for it. It just all of a sudden appears in your life like, what is this about? And you resonate to it. Like, this makes sense. And I didn't give up on it. I was still reading about it. And one day in my Google search, again, I Googled, who are the Reiki masters in Charlotte? And I really wanted somebody that I can identify with culturally that looked like me, for me to feel comfortable in journeying something I don't really know about. I was already the one, always, you're the weird one. You know, I had the tarot cards in school and my crystals, and already was conscious in that level. So it was no shock for people, me trying something different, but it was still, what is it that you're doing? So I found my Reiki master, beautiful older sister with locks. And I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it with her. And shifted me. It was like the energy work cleared me. It allowed me to realize I was in the middle of an emotionally abusive relationship. And I said, that was what the most impactful, being a clinician. People think, you know, I don't know if you have friends, I would say, don't try to therapy me. Don't try to counsel me. And we're like, when we out work, we're not even thinking about it. That's not even my thought. But I found myself in a relationship that I didn't realize I was in an emotionally abusive relationship. And if it wasn't for me going to get that Reiki session to help, and I found that sense of empowerment, like, it was like I went back into my body, like, hold up, no, this is not you. This is not your journey to help someone else heal. And I'm losing myself in the process of trying to help someone else. So that is where my journey with Reiki began, of my awareness of myself and what I have control over, which led me to leave the relationship. And from then it's been uphill. I always tell people, the woman you see today is not the woman that you would have met in 2010. And it's from me really connecting with source. You know, we all have our religion and our beliefs. It doesn't even take away from that. I tell people, it's not a religion. This is not a religious practice. It's science. And sometimes science is an aspect of religion. It's life force energy. We all have it. We're alive and breathing air. We have energy. So it's not even a religion, but religious practices use it. It's the laying of hands. So it's just very empowering that you can do something or have a part to take the inner you and heal yourself and heal others. Then you connect with yourself. You start to love you and know your purpose. I think that's it. Many of us walk around, don't know what our purpose. We know what our purpose is. Now, how we execute it may be the confusing part, but deep down, you know what you're here to do. And it only helps you find more of how to do it, because part of our work and energy work is to be a light for others. It's to help with pain. It's to help raise the consciousness. It's nothing evil. It's not devil worshiping. All we're doing is spreading love. And that's the highest vibration. That's all it does, is open yourself for love. And that's healing. That's God. That's God. As you see my shirt, God made the strongest women and made them Reiki masters.
All right. Exactly. And and that's the thing too, regarding, the energy work. It connects people to themselves. And like you said, to higher power, whatever it is that someone wants to call it, it really does just really open that door to the universe that you probably didn't even realize. I guess you say some people may think that they're there, but this even opening up even more.
Yes. And I've seen it work for all different populations. I've gone and done work with gang members and those in the streets. And the thing is, they're more prone to catch on to it than others, because that lifestyle is all about instincts. It's about sensing and sensory. So they're like, oh, they use their third eye. It's all about watching back, watching people. So it just took it to another level to help focus them. So it's just so many populations this work, or well, really that we already know. It's just programming that took us away, that we needed outside sources to be elevated or to be enlightened. No, we are vessels of spirit. This physical form is just a representation of our spirit. And so chakra work and energy work helps go to the spirit. Medical fields, they deal with the body. That's it. But by the time it gets to the physical, it started in a spiritual ethereal layer before it even got to the physical. So the healing work that chakra work and energy work does is going deep. You can cut this body part, you can have surgery, but what about the root issue that caused that body part to become imbalanced, to become dis-ease? And so I always say this type of work, energy work or chakra work, you coming to get to the core. You ain't got time to play. You're ready to deal with it. There's no pacifying. There's no medication that just make you feel better for the now. You're going to go deep, but you're going to come out feeling so much better.
Most definitely. And so when it comes to the chakras, can you explain like specifically the different levels or stages of the chakras, the root chakras all the way up to the crown?
Yes, this could be a whole 7-hour conversation.
In
so
the simplest form.
As much as possible, but we'll just stick with, there's 7 primary chakras. There's over 100 chakra meridians and our chakras. So many of us, I always say, understand, when we think about the medical field, we think about the staff with the snake going around the staff, wrapping around the pole. We see it on ambulances and everything. Really, the snake is like a representation of energy. If anybody's ever heard of Kundalini energy, is really energy rising up from the base of your spine all the way up through the crown of your head. It's like a rush of energy when you become in alignment with yourself and allow that energy to rush up. So with understanding how the chakras work and how it operates is very key to understand. This is all energy. It's not really parts on a physical part of your body. It's energetic centers in your body that align your spine. So if any of these, in each center, 7 centers that we're going to focus on, coordinate with body organs, your physical aspect, your mental aspect, and your spiritual. So each chakra spins at a certain frequency, because what happens where one chakra, like your root chakra, spins this way, it's going to spin, it's going to push the energy up. And the next chakra spins counterclockwise. So it's able to go up by the force of the energy. So starting at the root chakra, which is the base chakra, which is located at the base of your spine, this is people who come in with lower back pain, gout, poor circulation, aching knees, all of that. I automatically know, I say, you're dealing with some life issues, you lost your job, financial issues. And they're like, how do you know? Because your body don't lie. Often as humans, we've learned to mask, and people say, how you doing? Your body's in pain, but we'll put that smile on and say, I'm doing okay. I ask the same thing as therapists. We ask that, we get that. How you doing? Everybody say fine. Well, I look at my checklist and all these things are going on physically, then I know you're not. Your body's talking to me. Your mind is saying something else, which means denial, disassociation. Inflammation is anger. So looking at this, the root chakra deals with, I have a right to be here. This is I am. That is more of, I have a right to take up space. So it's more physical. And so with the lower extremities, knee issues, lack of flexibility, where are you being inflexible in your life? So that's one example of the root chakra. I say, for example, that chakra is about feeling safe and secure. So I always like to use an example. At this time, there's more African-American males that deal with prostate cancer. That's not saying other cultures don't, but many African-American males are dealing with chronic stress coming from PTSD, slavery that is still in our genetic, of having to feel a sense of being threatened or threatening others, having to be a provider for their families. So it makes sense that they may have higher incidences of prostate cancer than other cultures. So that's just another example of the metaphysics and how it impacts your health. So then you move up from the root chakra, you move up to the sacral chakra. This chakra is your right to feel, to have feelings, to have pleasure, to have joy. This is your sensual center, your sexuality, how you identify sexually, all of that. And so with this, it's all about emotions, how you communicate. So it's very important with relationships, where sexual energy is very important in relationships. If this chakra is out of the balance for women, fibroid, menstrual issues, just in general for male or female, kidney issues, having kidney stones, urinary tract infections, ongoing STDs. That means there's some things going on, which is either maybe guilt, shame, denial of pleasure. It can affect your libido, whether you have sex with anybody, anytime, anywhere, or I don't even want to have sex. I don't even think about having sex. Everything in each chakra has a balance. It's never right or wrong. It's just finding a balance. So that's the sacral chakra. Then the solar plexus, the next one, which is in your stomach area, because the sacral is your reproductive areas. The stomach, that's the fire. That's your confidence center. This is where you put things into action. So I would say, if you realize that if your root chakra is blocked or having issues, you're not feeling safe or secure, then that affects your feelings. And most people who don't feel safe or secure or struggling to survive, they're not thinking about having pleasure. What do you mean go out and do this? I'm trying to pay my bills. They deny the sense of pleasure because they're not able to provide, which is going to impact your confidence. If you're feeling trauma and not safe, things are not flowing, you're not feeling sensual, which also impacts your money, then you're not feeling confident. So that affects your digestive, ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome, metabolism. All of that can be diabetes is a sacral chakra, and most addictions begin in the sacral chakra. And without going into too much details, that's a developmental stage of 12, 13 to 15, where many people really go through. That's middle school. That's a whole, everybody pays together into middle school and everybody's sectioned off. So either you could be the bully or be bullied. You're the shy one or you're the leader. That's where that sense of development comes in. So then from there, you have your heart chakra. That's about compassion, about love, feeling worthy of love, forgiveness, because many times we forgive others, but we don't forgive ourselves, or grief, where we hold grief. I always have to work with some of my clients because I'm like, are you trying to get in the grave with your deceased loved one? You got to live. You can't act as if you're dying, because the organs around this area is your heart, your lungs. So literally people can die from pain or heartache, because most of the time, if you're aching up here, you're not breathing appropriately. It's shallow breathing. So if you can walk around and you don't even realize your muscles or your neck is tense until somebody touched them, think about that heart. If you're not wanting to hurt or feel, that heart muscle is not moving as it should and can cause issues, lack of circulation. So asthma, pneumonia, bronchitis, those are all COVID or heart chakra illnesses, because that's where they tend to take hold at. And if you deal with these illnesses or they reoccur, and then you have to know what your weakest chakra center is to focus on, to build it up, because everything has a frequency, even diseases and illnesses. So the lower frequency of that illness is going to find where in your body that meets that same frequency. And that's where it's going to harvest at and grow. So if you know forgiveness and compassion is your area that's hard for you, I'm not loving anybody again, I don't want to love anybody, or codependent. If you're not feeling safe and understanding and having confidence, your relationships may only be with those that make you feel empowered. So if you're not in a relationship or they break up with you, it's the end of the world. You don't feel you're worthy. You're not there because you don't know yourself. So the only time you feel good is when you're with someone. So that's important. And then the throat chakra, speaking your truth, your expression. This is where we implement boundaries. So again, if you're not feeling safe, you're not feeling you can express your feelings, you're not feeling confident, you don't know if you love, you're not going to say no. You may have a hard time expressing your boundaries, or basically saying, I don't like when you do this, or that doesn't feel good. You don't know how to speak it. Or if you grew up where to be seen but not heard, your feelings don't matter. You will grow up and people are like, why didn't you say anything? You know that. Oh, I didn't think anybody wanted to hear it. You never felt your words were validated. Your feelings were never validated. So why would you express them? So with only 2 outlets of energy, through your throat chakra and through your sacral chakra, which is an orgasm, this is where that sexual health comes in. If you're not expressing yourself through either outlet, that's trapped energy, throat chakra, heart, stomach, on down, that can cause a lot of things off balance just by not knowing to speak your truth, to put boundaries in, to say, I don't like this, or I want to do this. Or I have so many people that have been in an abusive relationship and don't have a voice, and they just take stuff and they swallow. Thyroid issues. Always having sore throat and issues going on with that area, because you really just swallow what you want to say. Or you're one of those people, I had to grow out of, I had thyroid, a blocked throat chakra due to some things from childhood, but eventually my way of keeping peace was to be quiet. Somebody had to be the quiet one. If you're acting out of control, it's not going to be any good for me to be speaking and acting the same way. So I swallowed it to keep peace. When finally as an adult, I had to, I got to be the one that got to keep peace. I got a right to say something too. And if you get mad, you get mad after you just went off on me. I'm supposed to take it. So it was that point of time to realize I don't like when you do that, which I never said before. I just took it. So understand that you have a right to speak is the throat chakra. Then your third eye, internal GPS system that affects your vision. Those people have headaches, sinus issues, styes on the eye, always congested. Third eye, not trusting yourself. This is where people say, I can't meditate. My head is I always got thoughts running around and everything. That means it's either overactive or blocked third chakra at that time. Do you trust yourself? Can you sit still enough to see your vision? This is very important on who you are. I always say our ancestors, they didn't have cell phones and stuff when the Underground Railroad was occurring. You had to trust your instinct. Harriet Tubman, she knew herself. She knew herself for spirit to say, go this way, go here. And all she had was her internal GPS and the stars, because they didn't move during the day. So you can't tell me you don't have connection to source to be able to move in the dark. If our ancestors did it, we have no excuse to be able to navigate right now in this world. We got so much more than they did. Why we stuck? Why we can't move forward? So that's that third eye. And then the crown chakra, that's the I am. You know, your eyes, I have the right to see. The crown is I am. By this time, if everything's flowing, you feel connected to the world. You're connected with everything from every plant to every fly, to every bug. Like I tell people after they go through Reiki too, you know, how Snow White had all the butterflies walking and flying beside her, because your energy, when your energy becomes balanced, nature sees you as one. So I always tell people, like with bees don't have eyes. They feel, they have sensors. So if they all around you, that means you got some beautiful energy. They don't see threat. They just see you part of nature until you, and then they're like, hold up, threat, let me go in before they get me. So understanding that and how nature, I have rabbits that come to my porch now. It trips me. I opened the door the other morning. It's like 6 rabbits. For one, that was that warm day. Rabbits are not supposed to be out. But and just they're looking at me. So I'm having a conversation. Hey, there's a reason why you're here. See the world like I did before. I don't see race. I don't see religion. I just see love. And that's what Reiki has done for me. That's what is done for my family. I can say, even when you heard that story about my family member, and he was one of the main ones, like, what you into? What is all of this? I call him the Alibaba now. That was my brother. That was about it when I needed that validation to get real. And now when I come to him with stuff, it's like, you need to disattach yourself from the emotional outcome of this. And I'm like, I want to be mad. But he's like, oh. So it's just beautiful seeing my whole family take upon this way of healing, from even on down to the young ones. When the 5-year-old or 4-year-old nephew is like, well, you want me to put Reiki on your knee if you have a headache, or if my head is hurting, they come and rub my head. So it's just beautiful seeing us go back to source where they're not afraid. We're the ones that are not sure. The kids, all this is breaking down walls for them to come through to be who you are, because the next generation, they're born healers. They're coming to shift the world. So that's what I feel this energy work is going to help us step into our true authentic selves, to be the light, to be the shift, to release the darkness. And at the end of the day, that's all. It's just love. That's why I tell people energy work is nothing but activating the love in you for yourself. And therefore, that's what radiates with all those around you and those that you come in encounter with.
Oh, yeah. And it's definitely something that's needed, because like I said, it just changed my life. And it wasn't just the concepts, because I think sometimes people can fall in love with the concepts, so they make some bypassing and making you feel good. But it's more than that. You know what I mean? It really does. It's almost like, it was one of those things I kind of say, words just can't describe it, because it's
right. You just have to experience it. That's what I often tell people. Come get a Reiki session. Your life won't be the same. You'll be back, and sometimes I don't mind doing it for free. I don't do that often, but my thing is, you'll be back, because we never know what it felt like to have your energy cleared off. And then you're like, whoa, this is a whole different feeling. And that's what I love, even like incorporating my therapy. I'm putting power back into my clients, because I don't want them to be dependent on me to feel good. I need you to tell me when you're off, and there are modalities that can help you get centered. So this has helped my clients, especially those that deal with mood disorders, to regulate their mood disorders without being dependent on medication. It's about self-regulation, that you can be like, oh, I'm out of a line. up, or they done got me worked up like that. It's no more they did this. It's like, I got some things I got to work on, because nobody should trigger you to the point that you're getting that worked up. If you are, that's a trigger. And it's nobody's fault. It's how you respond to it. And that's where energy works. When it happens, and you normally would be triggered and go off or do that, and you just like, okay. It stops all the drama around you, because if nobody have anything to argue with, they can't argue. If you're just like, okay, they're looking like the crazy one if they keep coming in, and you're just like, okay. If nothing else, they'd be like, oh, you don't care anymore. And you see things switch. That's when, you know, you're like, oh, toxic relationship. Okay. So that's why I even tell couples, as you go through this healing, and everybody's on a frequency. So if you're vibrating this frequency, everybody has an ecosystem. So everybody normally in your cluster are on the same frequency. Now, at one point in time, when you're wanting to learn more about life, you're getting your chakras clear, you're understanding about self, you're going to start vibrating more. So one or two things are going to happen. This is laws of science. All the particles are going to pick up the pace to spin with you, or it may fall off. That's the laws of nature. Now that particle may fall off if you release the ego, like how they not going to talk to me anymore? Why are they mad? And you respond to lower vibrations and say things you didn't mean, just to hurt them because they hurt you. That's a lower vibrational energy. But if you let them be and just realize they're not around because they're not in my frequency, it doesn't mean they're less than. It doesn't mean they're a bad person. You're just not in the same frequency. Because if you keep them in your frequency and trying to, agitation, particles that are not on us, they become agitating to each other. And it's like, you can say, oh, the sky is blue. And they're like, how you going to say the sky is blue? Why you always say it's blue? And you're like, why are we arguing? So it's just understanding everything operates in a frequency. And as you change those around you, if you step into yourself and realize this relationship was a trauma bond, and you no longer need that trauma bond and come into yourself, then it triggers this person who no longer feels needed. So it can cause, you may think it's going to grow closer. It can, but it also can go this way as you come into yourself. And you may realize some of these relationships are not true, authentic, because I haven't been true and authentic. So therefore, it could be your marriage is not authentic because you haven't been real with yourself. It could be that job, like, oh, I'm quitting because I didn't really like it anyhow, or I can do what I want to do. It causes so many shifts on so many levels.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to work on their chakras?
Yes, they can reach me at Shakti Wellness and Yoga at www.ashaktiwellness.com. I'm on Instagram under Shakti Wellness or as the Chakra Therapist. You can go to my Facebook page which is also a Shakti Wellness and Yoga. So yes, please check out what we do. We have a wide array of services, from energy work, counseling services, detox services. We do ionic foot detox, the sauna detox blankets. We have a physician assistant on board that does health consultations for those who are wanting an alternative way for treatment besides traditional, or sometimes we say go to the doctor and get the diagnosis, and then we can help you with the treatment. We provide yoga. We also provide services for kids. Some of you have, if you're special, your kids are special. They're sensory sensitive kids or they're empaths. They need to be around other kids that are like them so they can see themselves and not feel insecure, but become more secure in who they are. So between the variety of those services, we're a one-stop hub physically, mentally, and physically, even in the sensual awareness of working with women on dealing with any blockages regarding the sexual awareness or sexual issues. So find us, yoga, counseling. Hey, no excuse. We got what you need. And we do, we take private insurance as well as HSA cards if those who have those, as well as self-pay. So.
Yeah, and I must say, definitely a one-stop stop because you have a variety of services, and
even the retreats we do. I'm going to Costa Rica in July, so it's wherever wellness takes you. Let's do it. If you want to heal and at the beach, we can do that. So I always say, no excuses, no excuse. Now, if you're ready to heal, we got you.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And again, put it like this, I consider you the chakra queen here.
Well, look, I have to tell people I've just learned to be obedient and listen to spirit. I always say, don't put me on the pedestal because I'm human and I will mess up too. But if you can learn from any of the grace and hard-headedness that I've gone through, then so be it.
Well, you definitely opened the door, I must say. And again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on here. I love what you're doing too. I see you growing and speaking to the masses. And that's what it's about, shedding our light. We're like lighthouses, which is beacons of light for people to see the light. And if they sit and just watch, eventually, like you said, they'll come around when the time is right to seek your services. So thank you for what you do as well. Your reflection. We were in a frequency together, so we were doing something right if we came together.
This is true. This is true. And again, thank you so much.
Yes.